Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rugby Scoop podcast. Testing 1, 2, 3. Am I audible, gents?
Yeah, mate.
Fantastic. Oof, since we've connected, we've changed, service providers when it comes to Wi-Fi in the household. We're using Vodafone. This is not an advert for Vodafone, and then now we've changed to KPN, one of the telecommunication companies here in the Netherlands as well. But yeah, it's been a wee bit of a struggle to connect at times as well. So it's been tough in that regard. But nonetheless, Griffin, how are things? How are you doing?
All good, mate. All good. Nice to be back. Got the full crew on today, so looking forward to talking to the guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Vickers, nyana wala hleko, huh? It's been a wee while since you've been around, and obviously you've been working on some rugby gigs here and there. But yeah, how have things been at the beginning of this year?
Yeah, good, brother. Good. Sorry, guys. Those past 2 weeks have just been hectic. But today, a little bit chilled, so I can finally jump on and just chat about rugby. I haven't watched much, but we can obviously gather from some of the results. I've watched the Sharks game, though, yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to the chat.
Fantastic. Not a problem at all. Jade, in Bloemfontein, we hear lots of things are happening over there in Bloem. And I see Steyn, who is now currently the head coach of the Cheetahs. He's the manager of the Cheetahs. He's the CEO at the Cheetahs. I mean, he might as well be ground staff at the Cheetahs. What's happening? How are you doing?
All good. Scoop, yeah. He's everything. Huh? He's everything. He's the Jomo Sono.
Oh, that's a perfect. That is perfect. That is really perfect. Guys, without wasting any time, there's plenty to chat about. Obviously, no holds barred as usual. News making headlines. Jade, Dylan Mart is leaving Cape Town. He's going to the Blue Bulls, apparently. Feels like a proper Pretoria type signing, and they keep taking people away from Cape Town.
Yeah, but Dylan Mart was contracted to Griquas and was just on loan at the Storms, right? So that was his agreement. But I think it was easier for the Bulls to strike a deal with Griquas to get him over there. And you know what? I think it's a good move for him. I think if you're looking at the Bulls and you're looking at what they need, but when Arendse and Go was not available, I think you might he got a lot of game time at the Storms this year, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I think, you get, you might just get more game time there, when everybody's fully fit and stuff. But then again, I think the way we've come on in leaps and bounds, I think they still must be feeling it. Maybe this is one they got away from them,
Yeah, 100%. Vickers or Hugh, have you guys seen much of Dylan from the Curry Cup? I don't know if Curry Cup is shown over there in the UK. But I mean, he was one of the stars in this past year's Curry Cup for the Griquas, and Griquas actually ending up beating the Lions in the final. I mean, is it a good move for him, Vickers, in your case? As Jade said, when Arendse or who's this guy now at center?
Foster.
Is it Foster on the other wing at
Moody? No, it's Moody on the other wing.
Moody, yes. Yesterday. Yeah, he played 13, but I'm saying when those guys aren't around, so a guy like this Dylan Mart could fit in quite nicely within the Blue Bulls. He's a big body as well, eh?
Look, absolutely. I think the most important thing is obviously creating depth within the squad. And you can never go wrong being part of the Bulls Rugby Union. I mean, it's a big signing. It's a big union to go to. So I think it definitely for him, for his future, it's a good move. Obviously, from there you can also get picked up by obviously the rest of the nations, the unions, instead of you staying at the Stormers and not playing much. So definitely I would think it's a very good move.
Yeah, maybe pretty slow by Stormers in actually signing this guy. Yes, he was on loan, but I mean, they could have probably just got pen and paper and made it legitimate and official instead of having him on loan. Hugh, here's one for you. Andy Farrell is linked to the Saracens. I mean, this could be a major, major impact for Island Rugby if they were to lose Andy Farrell at this point. But it seems like it's RFU versus Saracens currently. There is a potential offer of 1.2 million euros per year for this deal to happen. What are your thoughts on Andy Farrell potentially going to the Saracens?
Yeah, so this one came out in the middle of the week and it was widely reported in the Irish press. And the fact that the salary is included in the rumours kind of makes you think, okay, well, there's quite a lot to this. However, Saracens have since come out and categorically denied any links to Andy Farrell or any links to bringing him in as the head coach. Now, someone said that might be to do with the fact that, tapping people up before their contract is up is not allowed. Who knows? But for now, this one looks dead, at least if you go by the Saracens' official statements. There's nothing else to it. Of course, if this was Racing 92 in France, a categorical denial means it's definitely happening. So, yeah, but it's interesting because from an Ireland point of view, there's quite a lot of rumours about some of the big guys. Jameson Gibson Park and Bundy Aki have both been in the gossip columns this week, looking for potentially moves away from Ireland. I suspect it's just that everybody's contract is up and they're getting the negotiating leverage in early, is what I think it is.
No, fair. Vickers, Faf de Klerk might return to the Cheetahs after his deal with Yokohama Cannon Eagles ends at the end of the season. Faf de Klerk, is there no one else in South Africa that thought he might have an opportunity to sign up with the Lions or go back home? Or maybe, since he's worked with Ackerman, he would be lined up with the Blue Bulls. Or maybe he's too old and the Cheetahs are probably the right area for him to go back to.
Yeah, Scoop. I think, look, if you look at the Cheetahs, they've recently have had ex-Springboks going into coaching stuff. So they go retires as a player and then go straight into coaching and be head coach. So who knows? Maybe he's thinking about that, which is in the other unions. It would have never happened. But yeah, look, I think maybe it's a matter of having a chat with Franz Steyn and Ron Pienaar, just giving him like a pathway through finishing or playing and maybe getting involved as a Blacks coach or whatever. So maybe that's what attracted him to the Cheetahs. But I'm pretty sure if the other new unions were open to signing a Springbok scrum half, he would have definitely been, his name would have definitely come up with either the Stormers or even actually the Lions. So I don't know. But I think for me, it's probably got to do with his future just after rugby.
No, fair enough. Right, gents, I've got two topics that I want us to discuss. One will be shaping the game, and then the second one will be Fiji playing home games in the UK for this Nations Championship. And then we'll dive into the URC results and the games we've seen, probably dissect a few things here and there, and then jump into Super Rugby. And then at the end, we will cover the preview of, I think, what is to be maybe a very important weekend for Six Nations next weekend. But the first one, Hugh Griffin, shape of the game. So this week, right? I mean, the world has gone bonkers rather. World Rugby says the game is in a good space. The chairman, Brett Robinson, is positive. Yet, I think on social media, it exploded, obviously, with people saying New Zealand and Australia are frustrated or they don't want scrums, this and that. We remember that former referee, international referee at that, Rennie, did say that Australians and New Zealanders don't want to, or want to speed up the game a bit more by having less scrums, etc., or something along those lines. I'm not quoting him directly here. Regarding that, obviously, this came out because Super Rugby were implementing or introducing some new law variations, which is something that has been done for over 30 years now. Regarding every new season, there's experimental laws that come in, and World Rugby then decides what will stay, what will not stay. I mean, going back to the 20-minute red card question mark, right, back in 2023 or 2024, and now people are kind of buying into the idea, but it also received a lot of backlash regarding what stance or which way World Rugby is trying to direct how rugby is played on the field. We also have Rassie Erasmus having a podcast the past couple of weeks where they're talking about the shape of the game, obviously from their perspective, talking about blockers and obviously the glove element and how England and Ireland don't want or want blockers, and how South Africa doesn't want blockers, etc. That also created a bit of a conversation around rugby circles. I mean, Hugh, your thoughts on this Shape the Game conference that took place, and obviously the uproar regarding scrums. I mean, I think on this pod we've spoken way too many times about scrums, and the amount of times we actually love the amount of scrums we've seen. We enjoy that part of the game. I mean, I just want to hear your guys' thoughts regarding this conversation and how rugby can be shaped going forward as well. What we would like to see maybe change going into next season, I suppose, because by the end of this year, all the rules will not change. The rules or laws of rugby will stay the same, and you don't go into a World Cup with different rules, etc., etc. Give me your thoughts, Griffin.
Yeah, well, like you say, Steve, it feels like we've spoken about this a few times. I was aware of, you posting about it and stuff in the week and this conference and stuff. All I'd seen really was the headlines of nothing's going to change at the moment, and so I kind of didn't think too much more about it. I think it feels quite clear that there is a faction, shall we say, down in the Southern Hemisphere who are looking to kind of experiment, to tinker, to try new things with this clear fixation on cutting down dead time, increasing ball in play, etc., etc. And it looks like there's going to be no further changes for the time being. I think that the fixation with ball in play is. I don't think it's the be all and end all, to be honest. I think there's more to rugby than that. So for me, it's clear that there is there's two factions going on here. But for me, obviously they're not changing anything, so I don't have too much more to add at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. Jade, your thoughts regarding this? Scrums, tactical battles. I mean, casual fans want a flow. Casual fans want a slow game either as well. I mean, broadcasters want time certainty. There's so many elements or so many things to break down. It's not just about the scrum element at the end of the day. It's about the game itself, and how the game is appreciated by different people throughout them viewing or watching a lot of rugby games. But your thoughts on this Shaping the Game conference thing?
Well, Scoop, if you look at it from an overall perspective, from an African perspective, as to what we get, what we see in our country, and what, we get the broadcasting from Super Rugby we watch a bit of Top 14 where we can, to English Premiership, to URC, to the Champions Cup, Six Nations, all the way to the World Cup. And we do see, there is some stability in certain areas in terms of the laws, and in some areas there is some, every year, new laws getting trialed, etc., etc., etc. Now, for me, if it's making a positive aspect, and if a trials doing a positive thing. And I mean, we've taken from a few things from Super Rugby in the past. I mean, we complained, or people complained when the 20-minute red card came in, and yet everybody adjusted to it now. We complained when a line out, etc. But the rest of the world adjusted to it. So there's always going to be, these rules and regulations and, trials and so. But it's just how you're going to adjust to it. And for me, the way I see it is, do not detriment one competition, or don't try to force your hand in one competition and wash down another competition. I mean, there's room for everybody. And I mean, if you're looking at it, everybody's speaking about, taking away the scrum element. People are forgetting that if your basic skill is not correct, if you're going to make cause handling errors, and if you're going to go into a kicking game or so, and there's going to be a lot of handling errors, there's going to be a lot of knock-ons or so, and the conditions is well, we are going to scrum a lot, There is going to be a lot of scrums. There's no rule that says that the basic, when is a scrum formed? A scrum is formed when there's a knock-on or handling error. That's the first time when we form a scrum, A scrum is formed when you kick the ball directly out of touch from a drop kick, or from out of hand, inside. And they're not taking away this as well. So we've got to be also, open-minded when it comes to these decisions. I can understand, how South Africans feel the scrum has been their biggest weapon, but people must understand, nobody's taking the scrum away. There's still a lot of other aspects as well when it comes to the scrum. I mean, look at the weather conditions we had in Fiji, and we had in Cardiff the weekend. Terrible weather competitions, a lot of scrum time. So, I mean, nobody's taking that away. So yeah, for me, we just got to adjust to it, be a little bit open-minded when it comes to things like this. I mean, look at the Varsity Cup, Scoop. Nobody can honestly tell me they're watching the Varsity Cup and can understand, what's going on as a South African, because the way there's so many rules and regulations being brought in there. So I really think that we can just be open-minded when it comes to this.
Sorry about that. Am I audible?
Yep.
Ah, fantastic. So I couldn't get, I could hear you guys, but I couldn't speak at all, which was weird. But I missed out on what Vuyo had to share. But we'll just wait for him to connect as well as a speaker just now, and then he can share his views, and we can jump on to the Fiji playing their home games in the UK after that. Is there anything that I missed there, Griffin, from what maybe Vuyo was sharing while I was off air?
I was just asking Vuyo, as an attack coach, would he prefer a free kick or a scrum? And he was explaining why the scrum.
Fair enough. Sure, Vickers, Hugh had a nice question for you. I missed out on that, but yeah, you can continue in what your views were.
I said I would definitely take a scrum. I mean, if you have the pack, why not? I think it will be difficult for any team. Like if you look at the likes of the Springboks with a very good pack, why would you take a free kick instead of a scrum? So I think that's why if you take away the option of having the scrum. So if you say it's a short arm without a scrum, like when you do a mark, then that's what makes it interesting. So I would definitely give it a go as an attack coach in terms of designing something that will obviously move the defense to where maybe you want to kick a box kick or even beat them on the spread, on trying to get the defense to congest in the session area and then beat them on the outside. So I would definitely choose a scrum if it was an option. But if it's no option, then I'll definitely obviously go with what we can do with the short arm.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of variations, right, within the short arm aspect now. Like, for example, there's a short arm for obviously the mark. There's a short arm for early engagement in the scrum. Now you can't reset again or have another scrum in that option. But I mean, what do you do then? Tap and play, depending on where you are on the field, because most teams would rather kick a contestable now in those areas. So we're trying to move away from that dead time of, okay, scrum goes down, there's a reset. We're spending at least 2 to 3 minutes just waiting for people to set up. This is when maybe also companies or people like the production company in the UK saw an opportunity to start showing ads when that happens. It's almost like downtime during those situations. But yeah, moving along from this one.
Sorry. Sorry, Scoop. Actually, the Varsity Cup has started something as well with they call it the power play. So what they do is that after you score a try, you've got an option of a short arm on the 22, so you can pick up your attack, and you've got 2 minutes to score. And if you do score from that power play, then you basically your 2 points becomes 5 points. So it's quite interesting how they've made that quite good. So you only get 2 per half. And so you basically get four the whole game. So it's basically what they're trying to do is that, when you score a try in the corner, and that it's a 50-50 2 points, so you'd rather go for the guaranteed, or not guaranteed, like a 50-50 try instead of a 2-pointer.
Do you know what they do in NFL actually? Instead of also going for the conversion,
yes,
they actually go for another play.
Yes, definitely.
Which is interesting. Maybe they've got the idea from there, but it's also something. I haven't followed much of Varsity Cup. I've seen a few good tries on highlights, but not really following much. But I saw some big scores because of this element, Vickers, that you're talking about now. I think it was CUT that lost to UCT, but like 80-something points. You can imagine, man, if they probably used up that card or this 2-minute thing to actually rack up those points like that. Yeah, Griffin, go ahead.
I will say as well, I think that there's a big difference between the speed and intensity at a club level compared to international level in terms of dead time. I mean, I've been watching the Six Nations, and I don't really recall, having to wait around for scrums very much. I don't recall ever thinking this scrum is taking a long time or having really long stoppages so far. Maybe mistaken, but that doesn't occur. But when I was watching the URC this weekend, there were several times where I was like, oh, can we just get on with it, guys? Like, setting the scrums was so long. And I wonder if that's maybe a referee taking authority. Like, they blow their whistle to award the scrum, and then they just let the players set in their own time, whereas the top referees who are getting test matches are speeding things along more effectively.
Yeah. I think also there's a mandate for each competition, right? So if things are trying to be sped up, I've noticed in Super Rugby things obviously have moved the needle a bit in terms of speeding things up. In Six Nations, you're quite correct there. Things have moved on quite quickly. So now you have this 30-second line out. What is this word I'm looking for now? What am I looking for? Setup. And then with scrums, I'm assuming they're also pulling the same kind of motivation in terms of, hey, there's a knock on. Okay, referee makes the mark. Hookers, I expect you to be on that mark, foot on the left side of the mark, etc., etc. Try and speed things up as quickly as possible. But obviously, you don't want to rush scrums because it's a very risky and also dangerous area if you're trying to speed those things up. Really need to take your time because the players, especially in the front row, need to be really connected and binding appropriately in those things, in those situations. Jade?
Yeah, no, man, to add to that, I mean, I can understand youth frustration in terms of how long it takes to set up a scrum. But if you're looking at the accuracy now at Super Rugby, where they do speed up lineouts and scrum time. Lineouts has been a mess. There's been a lot of overthrows, a lot of missed jumps, screw throws because of maybe the hookers, needed that extra time, just to wipe the ball off it, just to set. Maybe they had their own routine, Scoop, wiping the ball off set, getting the call from the loose set properly and throwing in. And also, if I'm looking at the scrums and the way, with scrums are being set at Super Rugby, the height at scrum time is not... I mean, it took a difference. You can see the difference in between the season and last year. So they seem to be packing much higher. There seems to be a lot of early hits pushing before the time as well. So I don't think they have that right yet. Let's see after week 6 or 7 if they've adjusted. But I have seen a lot of differences between those two set plays, especially the line-out time and the scrum time. With the line-outs being rushed, a lot of balls going against the throw, and the scrum time, a lot of inaccuracy, especially from the loose set props.
Yeah, fair enough. Griffin, Fiji, playing...
Sorry, just quickly, the last thing on shape of the game, and I think I did mention this last time. I think, when I hear people say, like, oh, you talk to the casual fans, what do the casual fans want? I'm kind of like, do we really want to put that much emphasis on the casual fans? Because first of all, the casual fans are still watching. They say, like, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. They're still tuning in to watch. And, you know, if I give the example, we've just had the Winter Olympics. You know, how many times am I going to watch curling or bobsled between now and the next Winter Olympics? Not at all.
Zero.
So why would I expect the Winter Olympics, the people who make the rules for these competitions, to listen to me?
Fair enough. Sticking with you, Griff. What are your thoughts regarding Fiji playing home games in the UK for this nation's tournament? I mean, I think playing Wales at some football club stadium, I think, and then England at Liverpool, and then who else? Is it Scotland in Murrayfield, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. Thoughts?
Well, it's just a case of money. So this is Fiji have chosen to do this themselves because they can make more money playing rugby in the UK than they can at home.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So it is what it is. It does make you think. You know, what was the whole planning for the logistics of this summer tour thing anyway? Because even if they were playing in Fiji, you're looking at the tour for, say, England would have been, I think it would have been South Africa, then to Fiji, then to Argentina. Oof. In back-to-back weeks.
Tri-Nations 1996.
or Wales would have been, I think, Argentina. No, would have been Fiji, then Argentina, then South Africa. So it's kind of, from a logistics point of view, you're kind of thinking, what were the organisers expecting to happen anyway? So, like I said, it's Fiji's decision. They make more money playing in the UK. Logistically as well, you know, from getting all these players from all around the world to come back to Fiji, or you just put the Drua boys on a plane, fly to the UK and say to all the boys who were based in UK and France, say, we'll meet you there, guys. It'll be a lot easier from their side as well.
Fair. Moving on, we've got the Stormers.
Just to add to that quickly, I think you also forgot something else. It's also got to do with what equipment and what they do have in Fiji in terms of televising the game. So also, I know there's been a big thing in terms of with Fiji and Samoa and Tonga, you know, not having the right equipment and the facilities there, infrastructure to televise games, you know. So that's also a thing. I think a lot of it when it comes to Super Rugby is Super Rugby itself and the broadcasters. Maybe it's Stan TV and it's Sky. I know that's renting out the equipment and setting up there. So I'm not sure who would buy the rights and who would host the rights. You know, if Fiji were to play those games at home, that's also another thing that came in here in terms of Fiji, you know, playing those games. I don't think they have the infrastructure to host, you know, games at that level at the moment. That's actually sad, and I really think it's something that World Rugby can look into, you know, going forward in the future. I think it's really something we can't rob the Islanders of, at least, if not this year, if not in this competition, but at least 3 quality tests, you know, in the off season when we don't have this competition.
Oh man, I think. Yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, yes, I do understand the financial backing of it. But at the same time, I think, yeah, we're kind of depriving the Fijians, you know, watching their teams probably win a few games at home. Because, I mean, we've seen quite a lot of improvement from the Drua's perspective when it comes to the Super Rugby competition and how they've hosted certain teams in Super Rugby, and also how packed those stadiums are, fields in Fiji during this tenure with Fijian Drua. But yeah, anyway, now moving on to this Lions Stormers game. Vickers, you saw the result, but I don't know what your thoughts are on this kid, Bato Segani, because I thought he's come into URC as if he's been playing for seasons, for years, you know, big ball carrier. He was physical. He was running straight at Ivan Ruiz throughout the whole game, and they use him a lot as a hammer from the line out. He's the first point of carry, and he does make meters as well. He's not jumping in the line out, but he's also quite influential when it comes to scrum time in terms of that body size. You know, I mean, I think he's got a bright future. Before we even talk about Stormers and losing, etc. But yeah, this kid, I mean, did you ever get to see him while you were in PE? But he was probably too young back then as well. But regardless of that, I mean, what are your thoughts on Batho Hlekani and maybe the kind of future he has in this competition or becoming a Springbok one day, maybe?
Scoop, he actually reminds me of was it Danny Rousseau? Who was that carrier, the ball carrier?
Yeah, Danny Rousseau or Pedri Vandenberg.
Yes, Pedri Vandenberg. Yes, those guys. That it reminds me of like that type. He just runs into contact. He's not scared of anyone. And I think that's what for me it's when I saw him play for under-20s, and if you notice, whenever he was dominant in the game, the SA under-20s won that game, and I think he was actually a big factor when it comes to the IC under-20s winning the World Cup last year, because he was definitely giving them a good forward momentum ball, and that's what we've been talking about the Stormers, is that's what they need, and for them to miss out on this kid was massive. I guess they also thought they didn't want to drop one of their your favorite boys. So, but for me, I think he's been excellent. Look, he did get invited to one of the camps, I think by Rassie end of last year, and it goes to show that this kid is actually he's got something special. And I think it won't be long before he's given a run. Maybe we'll see him run against Barbarians next year, because we've got 2 tests against the Barbarians this year.
Yes.
2 tests, so maybe we'll see him run at one of those games. But yeah, like you say, Scoop, he's just come in, and you can't see that this player is young. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's only turning 20 this year, so he's eligible to play again for SA under-20. But I mean, I'm still creating that one.
Oof.
So yeah, I think so. But but very good kid, very good player, and very humble kid. And I think he's got a bright future, definitely.
No, fair enough. Griffin, your thoughts on Stormers and how they couldn't find a rhythm. I mean, even when Lions were 13 men on the park, it's quite, I don't know what's happening with the Stormers. They looked a bit disjointed, didn't have a bit of shape, expected magic again, from maybe 1 or 2 players. But it didn't come. It didn't happen. And the Lions were also just nitpicking them away. I mean, it's a chip over the top. The Stormers' defense is kind of disorientated. It looked like they didn't have any answers. And I think Dobbo also expressed this in his post-match conference as well. But Lions, yes, looked good in certain moments, but also converted their opportunities into tries and into points. It was difficult for the Stormers to fight back. I mean, the one good try they scored was through Shekeling, if I'm not mistaken, when he got a tip pass from Evan Roos. He ran straight into the middle and scored under the poles. But yeah, your thoughts of this game and what's happening with the Stormers? They started off like a house on fire, unbeaten in probably around 10 or 12 games, but now they seem to be unraveling.
I think stylistically the Lions were always going to be a bad matchup for the Stormers, because I think the Stormers have struggled, against all the South African teams at scrum time. Their scrum stats to begin the season were very good, but they were playing against all of the northern teams. Now they're playing against South African teams who can face up to them at the scrum and in the tight at the set piece. That kind of advantage is getting eroded. I think the Stormers' attack has been poor all season, even when they won 8 in a row, or 10 in a row, however many it was if you include the European games. I think their attack has always been poor. It's always been the weak point of their game. If you look at their wins, you're talking, sub 30 points scored, which in club rugby isn't very much. In club rugby, you see high score lines. But it was the defence that was getting the wins. They were limiting teams to 1 or 2 tries every match. But what we keep seeing with the Stormers is that when they go behind, when they need to score 3 or 4 times in a game to win, like they did in both games against the Sharks, like they did, they went down 3 scores early against Harlequins in Europe, and obviously they've gone 3 scores down against the Lions. They're just not able to, put these attacks together to score points. They're not a team that's set up to be able to claw back 3-score deficits. They, like I said, they rely on keeping the opposition scores low. And when I say like stylistically match up as well, Stormers' big thing about their defense is their physicality and their gain line and stuff. Guess what? Lions don't go through the phases. They don't give you a chance to line them up and put a shot in them and drive them back past the gain line because they attack from deep. They offload, and I think they had 39 rucks in the whole game. So one ruck every 2 minutes. One ruck every 2 minutes, guys. So where is the structured defense versus attack in that? So what chance are the Stormers getting to set their defensive line and put in these big shots? They're not getting it. So I think what we've learned in these last 3 games is that whilst the Stormers were getting the results, and I think when they start playing against the Northern teams again, those results will start turning around. They are inherently a limited team, and if you can throw the first punch against the Stormers, you're generally going to win.
Okay, fair enough. Jade, your thoughts?
I think you just hit us there from a statistical point, how the Stormers have been this season. I mean, they've done enough in the first few games to win. They were impressive. However, at the moment now, they seem to be a little bit flat on attack. I think, relying on individual players again, falling into the trap of last year, relying on individual players to spark up something, especially to put a chip kick through, or in the past when Gaza or whoever's played, to spark a little bit of individual brilliance and then playing through. And then, obviously, we've just looked at it yesterday, and that incident with Henri Hofventer being held up on the line. Bobby had a head collision in the tackle, but that just sums up the Stormers, You just play through the hands, the guy scores in the corner, and yet he goes for glory, get held up. So I think that's where they are at the moment. I think defensively, they're not in sync. I think they can't get out. I think the exit game has been poor now recently. I think, they haven't been accurate in that. And teams have seen it, Teams have seen it. Teams have capitalized on it. And like you said also, going up front, I think if you're going at and looking at other South African teams, they seem to be scrumming better as a unit. Maybe there's something, that the Stormers can look at. There might be something they can look at going forward, because a few months ago, we're talking for them going deep into the European Champions Cup, but at the moment they're struggling. They're on the ropes. So maybe they need a reset. Maybe they just need a reset. Maybe Durban needs to make 1 or 2 more brave decisions or bold decisions. Selecting 1 or 2 bolters, like I say, from squad to freshen things up, and then take it from there. But at the moment, Scoop, I think they look very flat.
Yeah, man. But I mean, Durban has signed Sia. I don't know how much of a bolter, quote unquote, would Sia be in that setup at the Stormers, It doesn't make sense at this point, but I understand for Sia's logistical point of view, it makes sense. I think his home is there, etc., etc. But from a Stormers perspective, in terms of influence, in terms of having a bolter, like you said, because even Rose can't do it week after week for the Stormers. You need someone else who's probably a Bato type of player, nice and young, fresh. They've got this former under-20 captain, but he's more of a pilfer. He's more of a fetcher. He's not going to break through tackles and give you good go forward and cross over the gain line in terms of using his physicality. But anyway, regardless of that, because we've spoken too much about Stormers, now moving on to the Sharks. Jade mentioned something in the group a while back about making a interim coach permanent. We've seen what has happened when it comes to Manchester United, your favorite team. Once a coach becomes permanent, now you guys stop winning, start losing again. I think we are seeing a similar pattern when it comes to JP and the Sharks. I mean, he was winning games. He got very good promos regarding what he's trying to introduce at the Sharks, etc. And we saw a lot of footage of him from the Sharks Twitter handle. But now reality has set in. 41 points to 12, in Pretoria on Saturday. They also looked just as disjointed as the Stormers were the Sharks, And I don't think they used Andre Esterhuizen enough in this game to get good go forward, because it felt like each person was doing their own thing. Jury's at center in broken play is amazing, but I mean, also they're not setting him up. They had two big ball carriers in Jury's and Fanta, but I don't think they used them enough. And unfortunately, Jaden Hendricks, once he came off, I don't know what happened with his injury, but he was stretchered off the game. But yeah, hopefully it's not too serious for him, because he had just been called up for this Springbok camp as well, after a very long time of not being selected or being called up. But regardless of that, they kind of lost their shape when he wasn't there. And the forward pack, just not as physical, man. They were getting driven backwards. It's a pity that we don't see Manny, Emmanuel Chituka, the other Chituka, playing more often for the Sharks, because I think he gives them good go forward, man. He's a big body, he's a big boy, he runs right, good lines. For me, I would have him over Pepsi Buthelezi, just for the size element. Also, he can add to becoming a line-out jumper as well, the Chituka brother. But I don't know, Vickers, what are you making of this interim coach becoming permanent?
Yeah, I think, look, it's so unfortunate at times that you get such things happen when you're making an interim coach a full-time coach, because now obviously we've seen the Sharks probably almost like back at their worst from yesterday. I think, look, if we look at Andre Esterhuizen, I'm not sure if you watched the game. He carried a lot, Scoop. I'm not sure if Hughes got the stats, but he carried a lot yesterday. He had a lot of ball carries. I think he at some point I could see he was running out of steam. Vincent didn't carry much yesterday. Is it Masesera? He carried a lot.
Yeah.
As well, he carried a lot.
He's the Zimbabwean flanker, no?
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. He carried a lot. Pepsi tried to carry a lot, but obviously wasn't successful in terms of his dominance.
Yeah.
He was being tackled backwards. He got a couple of good, obviously one or two bumping, but it doesn't really matter, nothing special. But for me, if you look at where the Sharks were beaten yesterday, it was more of individual brilliance, because I think there were 3 chip kicks. I'm not sure. I think there were 3 chip kicks, 3 tries.
Yeah.
There was a one pick and go from Foster. He caught the pillar post snapping, and he picked it up and went straight through. And Papia scored off that. So I think for me, they were unlucky at times. If you take away the chip kicks, I think the game could have gone differently. But again, Scoop, that started happening as soon as Jaden went off. The new 9 that came on, for me, he didn't look like it looked like he was lost. It looked like he was trying to prove himself that he can play at this level. Whereas I feel if you had Grant Williams on the bench, it would probably been a better impact. I'm not sure the kind of rotation they're doing there, Scoop, as well, in terms of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mano should have been definitely in that team. I don't know, obviously, with Sia, if Sia is still in, is he injured, or what's happening with him, or is it time to rest? But so for me, I think at the moment they're not getting the flow, because they keep changing their team every week. Yeah, so I think that also plays a factor. I mean, they weren't dominant in the scrums. Yes, they had a couple of good ones, but they were not like dominant in the scrums like we normally see from them. So yeah, for me, it was a strange game from the Sharks. I don't know.
No. You mentioned a very good point, which I also noted as well. I wrote it down, that the rotation element. Maybe I also thought maybe JP is trying to be too nice to the group. I said, hey guys, I'm gonna all give you opportunity. Maybe some coaches also do that, and say when they come in, they say, hey guys, I'm gonna give everyone an opportunity. So now week in, week out, he's chopping and changing the team, and you might lose a bit of cohesion. And the Blue Bulls, look what they've done. They haven't changed a lot. They probably just changed positions in what they've done with the team. That team has been the same since. And I remember I don't know if we remember correctly when Hugh said he's spoken to a lot of people around, and they've got the players. They can't be too bad for too long. and now they seem to start to gel a bit as the combination starts sticking. Ambrose Papier, man, we've spoken about him in this group in this pod for over 2 to 3 years now. It's a pity, or it's not a pity actually. I think it's criminal that Rassie Erasmus cannot pick this guy to play, to be even in the camps, because there's no way you can overlook Ambrose Papier the past 2 to 3 seasons. He's been the best South African 9 at URC level. I think he would be the best South African 9 at international level as well, given the opportunity and looking at his skill set as well. But regardless of that, Griffin, share your thoughts.
Yeah, like I said, the Bulls seem to be getting back. Akers seems to be turning it around. 3 or 4, 5 maybe good results in a row put together, can't argue. I thought that they physically dominated the Sharks in this game. I thought that they were getting over the gain line. What was interesting was that they were going through the phases, and they were putting a lot of rucks together in the Sharks half, and they were going forward every time, similar to what they did against the Lions the week before. Now that speaks to their dominance, but this was also, a weak point under Jake. We talk about what this team was under Jake compared to Akers. Under Jake, probably the biggest weakness was the attack, or was the phase attack. When they scored tries, they tended to score quickly from nothing. Whereas in these last 2 games, we've seen them go through multiple phases, against poor teams. So we need to see if that trend continues. But like I said, this seems to be something new that they're getting better at. And like I said, they're getting back to that old Bulls way of just win the collisions. And that's the main thing. Also, side note, what is going on with Andre Bollard's goal kicking? What was that about?
Him and Sasha are probably having the worst season at club level. There is no way. There's literally no way. Andre Pollard and Sasha are having the worst season at club level. Jade, your thoughts?
I didn't watch too much of this game yesterday, to be honest. To be brutally honest, I watched about 10 minutes in the last 20 minutes or so. But, Andre Pollard's bad kicking performance or shaky kicking performance, I thought he had a good game. I think, with the Bulls resurgence recently, I think Pollard has really upped his game, and, he's been more solid than the questions that we had for him in the start. Of course, we were gunning at him at the start. We asked, when is this guy going to play for the Bulls? But I think he had a good game. I think you've got to look at the Bulls' spec as well. Once again, they scrummed well. They did the dirty work. They got dominance against the Sharks team, and they carried them on. But for me, one thing I can take of this, as much as Andre Pollard's been performing bad, kicking out inconsistently, but he's been solid. At the moment, I'll be brave and say that Pollard's in better form than Sasha. Sasha's been a little bit shaky now in the past few weeks. I know I'll get criticized for saying this, Scoop, but that's how I just feel about it. The other thing with the Bulls is also, who do we say? Who do we praise for this resurgence? Do we praise Akers, or do we praise that, Rassie's boys that he sent in there? Is it them, or is it Akers? Or is it Neil de Bruin? So where did this resurgence come from? We're going to have to look at that,
Yeah. Now, we've actually forgotten about the people that have been sent there as well. Maybe they could be the people that have made the change, because like Hugh said, they struggled with attack, and guess who are the guys that have been there for the past couple of weeks now at the Blue Bulls?
And the other thing is, is it also pain points for them to get out of those bad habits? That when you're a new coach coming into a new environment, you try to find out the bad habit that you see the previous coach had. Now, let's be honest with you. Every coach, even Rassie Erasmus, when he leaves the box, there will be a few 1 or 2 bad habits that he implemented in that team. So the coach from outside will look at it and say, where can I get better? So I think Akers maybe focused on that. Maybe it's that, that finally they got those bad habits and bad things that they were doing out. Took them 5, 6, 7 games to do that. And with the help of others as well, they finally phased out of that. So it could be that as well,
No, fair. I don't want to dwell on this game too much, just for everyone to understand the log standings. Warriors are number 1 in the URC. Leinster Tigers. Leinster number 2. Cardiff number 3. Cardiff, keep an eye out for them. Munster at 4. Stormers, guys, who were number 1 for a very long time through the past couple of months, are now sitting in 5th place. One more loss for the Stormers, and we could see them outside of the top 8. Blue Bulls have come into the top 8. Lions are number 7. So you've got 3 South African teams. Sharks sitting right at the not at the bottom, but at 11 on 24 points, which is quite steep. There's a 20-point gap between Glasgow Warriors and the Sharks. And then the top 4 teams, 39 points, Munster 40 points, Cardiff 41 points, Leinster, Glasgow Warriors on 44 points. But yeah, moving on, next conversation, Jade, regarding Super Rugby, and then we jump on to Six Nations preview.
So where do we start, Scoop? Do we congratulate you? Do you want to congratulate your team for winning their first game?
No. Take it easy. Listen, first of all, we need to talk about the sweep. Australian teams 3-0 in this round 3 of Super Rugby. Very good from them. Brumbies are looking mint at the moment. Charlie Cale is doing wonderful things at number 8, but I still think he needs to bulk up a bit. He's very athletic, very good player. I think Stephen Lockham has got this team humming, but we know until they have to play, or until we go like mid-season of Super Rugby, they don't have a lot of games. But we know Australian teams usually start well. Last season, it was the same. They had like all their top sides in the top 4, I think until around April, roughly. So I'm not fazed by this. But Brumbies, Blues game. Blues, your team is really struggling with cohesion, I think. People are saying that they don't have depth. But at the same time, I mean, that game they just gave away to the Brumbies. How are the Brumbies led to come back into that game and win it at the death? There's no way that the team can be that, lapse of concentration, ability to defend. Yes, it didn't help with Perofeta having a yellow card in the last 10 minutes of the game. It basically gave the Brumbies, I mean, one extra man in the back line. But regardless of that, I mean, stupid penalties as well in wrong areas. Because now, if your team cops a penalty between the 2 10-meter lines, the opponents are going to kick that ball right into your 22. It's a maul, put you under pressure. And what happens in that situation? There's always an arm out, either for offsides or not rolling away, deliberate knockdowns. Chances are teams will basically capitalize, especially a team like the Brumbies. I mean, what are your thoughts between Brumbies and Blues?
Yeah, you know what? I think as much as we don't like the Blues playing style, I don't think Bernie Cotter will ever change and adjust their style. No matter who he coaches, that's his style. Big physical standoff, playing flat. No tap-ons really, no dummy runners, nothing. It's just straightforward, boom, trying to win the contest, trying to win the tackle collision. And that's been Burns style, and it's frustrating, for Blue support because they're better than that. They have the cattle to play a more expensive game. They have the cattle to razzle. However, he goes to that. And I mean, we've seen it yesterday. It was 77 minutes played. They playing side to side and they're trying to wind down the clock and then kick it out in the Brumbies off. Where you knew the Brumbies with Reimer and I think it's Scott, the new open side that they got there, Valentine. You knew somebody will get over that ball because that's what, the Brumbies, that's been their speciality. If you're looking for a team that provides, that produces jacklers, you look no further than the Brumbies, because they produce the George Smiths, they produce the Polcocks, the Michael Whooper even came from the Brumbies as well. So, that's just those things that I don't think they think in these situations. I don't think they're smart like they were 2 years ago when they won it. When they won Super Rugby 2 years ago, teams didn't know how to defend this. Teams didn't know how to approach the Blues because they would just bomb over you and run straight over you, go through the middle of you and go and score. Guys like Clark and Pekoyoni wouldn't touch the ball. They would just be Oscar Sotutu, top try scorer. They scored 12 or 13 tries because everything would be straight through the middle, and that's how they play. But this season, the teams have figured them out. A little bit of line speed, pushing them stopping them before the advantage line, and they buckle. So that's been a problem now for the Blues this season. And I think we've seen it against the Chiefs the first game. Last week against the Force, they weren't that convincing. And coming against this Brumbies team now, who have a bunch of young talent coming through. I mean, you look at, like you spoke of Charlie Kell coming through. There's a lot of comparisons made to him with his athleticism, like Pierre Speaksport. He's similar in that mode. He's really athletic, loose forward. I think he needs to put on a few guys. Here, but I mean, he's athletic and he has X factor. You're looking at Snapsford, Muirhead, you're looking at those guys at the back, Corey too. They've been there for years and they know the system. And it's strange to me that a guy like Steve is when they keep ball in hand. They're the only team I see comfortably. They'll keep ball in hand from the 22 and 5 phases later they're in your 22. Comfortably, without doing anything. Without overplaying it, without putting a crossfield kick through, they will just go through their hands, play the ball, run with the other one, short pass, long pass, and they will end up in your 22. So that's down to coaching and understanding each other in the rhythm. So yeah, I think the Brumbies deserve to be top of the log at the moment. They beat the Blues, they beat the Crusaders. I think they deserve. I mean, the Aussie teams look good this season. I think we got another game the weekend. I think it's the Waratahs and Hurricanes. That's going to be a good game. But I mean, if you're looking at as bad as the Highlanders were on Friday, the Reds were good. Their passing game scoop was good. I think the skill set was good.
I wanna jump into this Highlanders Reds one.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're looking at the Force also, when they're playing against Moana away, those are the games that the Force used to lose, but I mean, they won. I'm not like I'm thinking the Force from Moana will be tackle contenders, but I'm just mentioning and putting in this aspect. But yeah, that was the Blues and the Brumbies. But as far as the Highlanders and the Reds, I wasn't impressed with the Highlanders. Everything they plan is go to Jimmy the difference, and that's that.
Yeah, but I want to bring Hugh and Vickers on this one. Hugh and Vuyo, you guys can answer in your own time, or actually after I've posed the question. All Blacks are looking for a coach. Obviously, there's two people that are front runners, apparently, Jamie Joseph and Dave Rennie. Obviously, I don't know where your guys' minds are at regarding this particular conversation. Who would you guys prefer? Because my view now, I was for Jamie Joseph, but I think after watching maybe 2 games now with the Highlanders, I know he doesn't have the kettle. I know he doesn't have the depth at Highlanders, but he's a person or he's a coach that really needs, like a Tony Brown, for example, to actually go over the line, in my perspective or in my view. So him not having a Tony Brown, would he be the right candidate for the All Blacks? And also watching the Highlanders now starting to lose and also lose a bit of shape in their attack, I'm trying to figure out what is his strength currently, Jamie Joseph. Yes, he won against the Crusaders in the first game. It's a derby game. We know the kind of level or motivation that comes with derby games. We've seen it in South Africa as well, when the Blue Bulls had to go to the Stormers and the Blue Bulls were losing every single game and only to lose by a few points against a very strong Stormers team. But regardless of that, I mean, what do you guys make of this current coaching situation, and who would you prefer? Oh, Jamie Joseph or Dave Rennie, and why?
I'll go first. Look, Scoop, I think for me, I would definitely go as far as Dave Rennie would be the perfect option now. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at what he did with Australia, that was massive in terms of how he handled that whole team, and he tried to, with the many injuries that he had, and tried to get a good thing going. And it was a good thing going until obviously he lost his job. So I would definitely go Dave Rennie, because he's also been recent, also obviously as well in recent years he's been coaching at a top team, because Australia is a top tier 1 nation.
Yeah.
Then if you look at Japan, Dave Rennie has worked a lot with young players that not coming from your normal rugby heritage, but he's done something great with those teams. And I'm just worried that maybe something like this could be not good for him in terms of he'll be under pressure from the beginning. But if he comes in and he starts, and maybe like he could be brought in like what they did with Hansen, become an assistant first, become one of the assistants. I know he wouldn't probably want to, but he become one of the assistants to Dave Rennie. And I think it could be the next pathway for the coaches. Because at the moment, for me, I would go Dave Rennie because he's been there and he's done the job.
Yeah.
Instead of Jamie Joseph. But Jamie Joseph would definitely be featuring in that coaching group if he would want to be part of the assistants. I mean, guys, it's all about egos at this point, because if you look at Hansen, what he did, he was with Graham Henry, and he was with Graham Henry for many years, and Foster was with Hansen for many years, and this was what New Zealand have done before. So they know what they're doing when it comes to the handling that kind of setup. So I think it would be a good idea for them to go with the two coaches.
Yeah, I agree. Griffin?
I feel like Joseph is the safe option. I feel like it's in-house, it's very controlled, he's a known quantity. If you compare him to, if you look at what he did with Japan, he had a lot of control there. He was kind of the guy that they brought in, and they were like, look, Jamie, you are the experts. We want to learn from you. You have all the power. You sculpt this project in your image. And I just don't see him having that same kind of power at the NZRU. You said about the Highlanders this season. Look, guys, the Highlanders finished bottom of Super Rugby last season with Jamie in charge. Obviously, he doesn't have the players, but, if you're finishing beneath Moana and the Drua, what's your excuse here? Finishing below the force. Finishing below the force. What's your excuse there? So I think if you look at Dave, he's gone around the world. He's coached in the Northern Hemisphere. He's now coaching in Japan. He's coached against the All Blacks. He's a lot more. He's been there, done that in more places. He's been into different environments. I think he can come in, assess the situation, and make an immediate impact. And look, he's done a good job everywhere that he's been. So
100%. Even at Glasgow.
Yeah, I don't think he won the league. He was linked to the Wales job when Wayne Pivac got it.
Yeah.
It was between those two. So he's more of an outsider. But if you're looking at who's got the stronger CV, you'd probably say Dave.
I definitely agree with this. Yeah, but I mean, Hugh, you mentioned a very good point there. Jade, Highlanders have finished bottom of Super Rugby last season under Dave Rennie. I mean, under Jamie Joseph, sorry. And currently, me and you spoke...
Bottom of the New Zealand Conference.
Yeah, but I mean, under Jamie Joseph. And currently, you saw what happened on Friday. We spoke about the lack of shape that the Highlanders don't have. I mean, they made a lot of errors in that first quarter of that game and did not convert the amount of territory and possession. They were stuck in the Reds 22 for almost 20 minutes without getting a single point on the board, without going for threes when the threes were on offer, and then the handling errors. But like as a coach, then Jamie Joseph traveling to Queensland, how do you not then galvanize the team? I mean, for example, when things like this happen with All Blacks, for example, how do we expect a Jamie Joseph to galvanize this team and make them a better team than what we saw under Razor, for example?
Yeah, I agree with you, Scoop. I'm two-minded about this. I want them both. Just maybe one being the head and one helping as an assistant. But I'm looking at, I can only read as to what the Jamie Walls and, the Devlins and the Watsons, the Mark Watsons putting out there. And I can only read into it. It's stating that, it's not going to happen. It's going to be one or the other one. Dave Rennie's coaching staff that he wants. So I don't know if you're familiar with a guy called Mike Blair from Scotland that's been with him. Then he wants Neil Barnes from, I think it's from Taranaki. He wants him in there as well. So he's going for old-fashioned, no-nonsense coaches. That's who he wants around him. I'm not sure who Jamie Joseph's team would be. He was content to work with who is there at the moment because, he can't get Tony Brown. So I don't know, Scoop. for me, the mess is there's been a big mess here. Maybe they showed their hand last week with the appointment of the Island assistant coach as the new New Zealand. What's the word for them? Under 20s and under 18s coach.
Yeah,
maybe
the pathway
coach. So maybe there's Jamie's influence getting him in there as well because we've been comfortable with him. So maybe Jamie is the guy. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much sure Dave Rennie will move after maybe the next World Cup cycle and get a top job again, top international job. I mean, he's a good coach. And you know what's cool? Dave Rennie, it's not the first time. If should Dave Rennie get this job, it's not the first time that he'll clean up Ian Foster's mess. Because he done it to the Chiefs. Remember, Indiana's
Yeah, 100%. Okay, now I don't want to hang on too much with Super Rugby. Well done to the Drua for beating Hurricanes. Very strange, very strange Hurricanes performance from that perspective. But I want to jump on to the Six Nations preview, gents. It's a big week. Big week. Big week for Scotland. Big week for France, because if France beat Scotland, then they basically win this championship. I don't see them losing against England. Griffin, your preview. Let's start off with France-Scotland. Who do you see winning? And Scotland are hosting this in Murrayfield. Who do you see winning this game particularly, and why?
Well, look, the historical precedent is not on Scotland's side. If I said to you, you're counting on one team to stop France from winning the Six Nations.
And it's not Scotland.
Who are you saying Scotland? I don't think anybody's saying Scotland. So look, it should be a good game. Two teams that like to play attractive rugby. Should be plenty of attack. There should be plenty of endeavour. Talented players on both sides. Let's not downplay it. But I just think, France can play any which way. They've got the most razzle-dazzle attacking stats in terms of defenders beaten, line breaks, all that good stuff. But their dominant tackles, like they've made 60 dominant tackles in 3 games. Like the next best is 34. And their kicking game as well. Their kicking stats, they're the best at retaining kicks. They're the best at kicking long. They're the best at, they got the most varied kicking game. When they kick, they find grass better than anybody else. It would be a massive upset if Scotland won this game and threw the title race wide open. Now, it's possible. I can believe that it's possible, but it would require France to be a lot worse than what we've seen so far in this tournament. And, it's crazy to think that, Scotland's lost to Italy, 2 games ago. And now people want to talk about them maybe stopping France from winning the Grand Slam.
Oof.
It shows how crazy the Six Nations can be as a tournament, and how quickly things can change. So
fair.
I think France are clearly favourites. I think it'll be a good game, but I don't see anybody stopping France from scoring 4 tries in a game of rugby these days.
Fair enough. I mean, the last time Scotland hosted France, it was a decision by Nick Berry. A ball being grounded and not grounded against France in Scotland. And that was the defining moment between these two teams at Murrayfield. I think this is 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. So potentially, there is 110% potential. But I think, for me personally, if we are to rate a Finn Russell, Vickers, it would have to be one of these games for him to kind of drive Scotland into the promised land. What do you think of these two teams, and who do you think, or who do you see winning between France and Scotland?
Yeah. Hello, Scoop.
Yeah. We hear.
No, I think at this point you would have to say the weather would have to be a real Edinburgh weather for France to lose that game. I mean, the weather in Edinburgh is not so great. It's damp and bad. But anyway, I think for me, like you mentioned, there's no brainer. It's going to be very difficult for Scotland to win this game. But one thing that Scotland can do is force them to go with that forward based game, that forward dominance, that forward basically playing we usually call it a 10-man rugby. That's what Scotland can do. And if I was Gregor Townsend, I'd definitely go for a 6-2 split. And it's probably, like you said, Scoop, it's probably one of the games that you would have to see Finn Russell come alive. But we've seen, we've seen these guys lose to Italy. So I don't know if we'll see anything different. But for me, I think it's an easy win for France. And obviously France will close out the Six Nations this weekend. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what can happen. But if I was Scotland, I would go for definitely a 6-2 split and literally try and dominate the forwards as much as we can.
Oof. Fair. Jade, does Scotland have the forward pack then to match the big bodies that France have put out in the past couple of weeks?
Nah, they don't have the forward pack to match them. Should France be at their best on the day. But they do have the players to, how can I say, frustrate them. Their forward pack is a bunch of guys that will work together, fight together, frustrate them. They don't have the best locks in the world, but they'll do a job at line-up time. A guy like Gilchrist, and so, they'll do their job. They don't have the best scrummages, but they should be okay, They should be okay. Before I make a prediction, who is Nintama back this weekend at 10? I think so. He's back.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Nintama was back. But okay, anyway, it's good. I'm going to do this. I say let's say Scotland to upset the apple cart the weekend and beat France. Don't ask me how. I said it a few weeks ago. Don't be surprised they'll beat England. I think that we might just see a surprise this weekend. But don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. But I think they'll do it. They are that kind of team. They'll lose against the likes of Italy and Argentina at home, and then they can win England and they can beat France. They've beaten France a few times in recent years as well. So yeah, I go. Here's my Scotland to beat.
Wait, Jay, to stop copying out on some. Don't ask me how. What a mess. Hugh, is Jaliver back from injury? So we're likely to see him this weekend then?
I'm not sure. It was only a small injury. It was just a calf strain.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him back. I think France will be a lot better if he is back, but I don't know for certain.
Jade, that the scrum element is going to be quite crucial, I think, because we saw Italy put France under pressure at scrum time. We saw Italy put Scotland under pressure at scrum time as well. So yeah, it's going to be. I think that's where the game will be won and lost for me.
Who's the referee? But the Southern Hemisphere referee should favor Scotland. No, seriously, it should favor Scotland. It was a Southern Hemisphere.
It is. I think it is. No. I think it's Luke Pierce, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. That's a 50-50.
Fair enough. Moving on. Ireland versus Wales. Hugh, kick us off with this one.
Well, I don't know what to say about this one. Obviously, Ireland. We talk about things changing quickly. All the scrutiny that Andy Farrell was under after the result against France. Now, and even after Italy as well, after the Italy game, he was coming in for a lot of flack. You talk to Ireland fans, you'd think they lost that game. But they obviously get the massive win against England. It changes the narrative completely. So, look, Ireland are clear favourites. Whether Wales have the minerals to frustrate them, because Wales have got to change their 10 again, which is going to be a big thing.
Jeepers.
So,
how many times do you guys change 10s?
Well, injuries, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't really know how I see this game going, to be honest. I think we'll see Ireland score a few tries. I wouldn't be surprised if this is quite a high-scoring game, actually. Wouldn't be surprised. But all I'm predicting is an Ireland win, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this game looks, because the last game for Ireland was so much better than anything that we've seen from them in the last 2 years. You kind of don't know what to expect next from them.
Yeah. Maybe they're still on a high, and maybe they might produce the minerals, but I still see this game going down to the wire, similar to the way the Scotland and Wales game went. So yeah, it could be. I think Wales will be very confident from their game against Scotland. Yeah, they'll be disappointed with the loss, but I think they'll go into this game quite confident and maybe understanding now the roles each player has on the field, maybe stop the stupid mistakes as well. I mean, if they can cut down on those things, they've got an opportunity here. But I'm not saying they will beat Ireland, but they've got an opportunity to upset Ireland on Saturday from what I've seen. Jade, just to answer your question, Scotland versus France. Guess who the referee is?
Ben O'Keefe.
Angus Gardner.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So Scotland stands a big chance.
Oh, it's massive. Anyway, Vickers, your thoughts on Ireland versus Wales?
No, I think it's, for me, I don't know. I can congratulate Cardiff for winning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can congratulate Cardiff for winning against Leinster. I mean, it's a big win. I mean, it was an academy side, but I mean, at the end of the day, we all know Wales have gone through some struggles, and they can take the positive from that and take it to, obviously, to this game. Not sure how many players will get involved in that setup, but for me, I think it's an easy one for Ireland. I think this is one, after the mess up they did against France. I think they've learned quite quickly that you can't take anyone for granted.
That's for sure. Jade?
No, I think Wales been positive in last week or so, but I think Ireland's also on the up, and I think they'll want some consistency this weekend. I don't think it will be a blowout. I think Ireland by about, I'll say by 10 points. So.
Wolf, okay. The big one also happening down in Rome is Italy hosting England, and seeing what Italy has done in the past couple of weeks. There's people are talking about a potential upset happening in Rome.
No, never going to happen.
Never going to happen. Why? Because Gabis is a 10.
Guys, Italy aren't scoring points. Italy aren't winning games. Yes, they beat Scotland. They beat them by 3 points in the pouring rain. Like Italy have never beaten England. Italy have never beaten England. I don't understand this whole Italy keep losing games in the same way that they've always, well, not maybe in the same way that they've lost games. You know, they're keeping the scoreboard a bit more respectable.
Yeah.
But like, what have we? People keep talking about like, oh, the way that Italy are playing, they could beat England. Like, well, what is the way that Italy are playing exactly? No.
Scrumming everyone else. That's it.
There you go. Is that going to beat England?
No. I don't think their backline is also like humming as they should. Just the attack shape is limited. They tried the aerial bombs against France. It didn't really pay off for them. It just made the game. It just gave them a more respectable scoreline. If you think that it would have been a respectable scoreline to get 30 against you, but I think. Yeah, they kick and just defend at the moment, but they don't have maybe the bolters that could break the game for them. They don't have game-breaking players in that lineup. Because you don't see England losing to Italy in Italy.
No, definitely not. But I'll say one thing though. I think England have got the recipe wrong with Ford at fly-half. Because if the game doesn't go the one way, that is meant to be the kicking way. Yeah. If the game needs to be chased, I still say for you to have Ford at fly-half is a big dangerous for any side. So I wouldn't say I would definitely look at, that's the first thing I would look at as a team playing against. If that game becomes scrappy and you need to chase it, I don't know if England are going to win it. And I think that's why for me, that whole debate of who must start at 10, for me, it will always be Marcus or even Finn. I mean, I haven't seen
what's happened to him.
I don't know.
To Finn.
I don't know.
Finn Smith.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to.
He was supposed to play against Bordeaux the last time I checked, and then I haven't seen him since.
Yes, and also, Scoop. I think also another thing that we have to take into consideration is, why is he not picking Marcus?
Yeah.
Why is he not picking Marcus? I don't know if I haven't seen Marcus's defense being bad.
Yeah.
I think it's not dominant 100%, but it's actually not bad. But if you look at what he's doing,
defense is not dominant either.
Exactly. So the only thing he's there for is kicking.
Yeah, true.
Yes, it's frustrating. But I guess maybe the loss is a wake-up call as well for them, because now I think losing 2 big games like they did, the way they did, I think will maybe start to call for something from their side.
Yeah, and also if this result is not convincing,
yes,
the daggers are going to come out in English media. We know them.
They're going to come for Botchwick.
Botchwick, man. Jade, your thoughts? Italy, England?
This could be a very boring game, guys. It could be a very, very boring, non-entertaining game. I think if I'm this week I change the 10 and I go out and I try a new approach to speed up the game, score a lot of tries against Italy. Italy was basically where Borthwick was a few years ago with this England team, trying to not to keep the scores respectable against the bigger teams. You know, that's what they do and what they're good at the moment. There's no blowouts. They stop that influx of points against them. So for me, you know, if I'm Borthwick, I go and I try and belittle Italy. I try and make it a fast game. Even my rules that I choose. I'll even start Pollock again. I'll have Earl play. I'll have, everybody, Tom Curry play. I'll really make the game as fast as possible. Try and score as much points and, just go out and get a good result before the France game and beat France, I think, in Paris next week.
Fair enough, gentlemen. Fair enough. Last comments regarding rugby. Anything that you've seen that has been strange in the past week? Vickers, any comments or parting shots before we close it off?
No, nothing much. I haven't seen anything that has stood out on my side. I haven't watched much rugby. Been involved in trying to help out a club side, this side. So, yeah. So, but in terms of that, I mean, it's just a new experience for me and an eye-opening. So, been enjoying that quite a lot, and I think it's also put some perspective in my side in terms of just 15's coaching. I even the podcast. Even the podcast you guys spoke about, the Rugby podcast, I haven't listened to or watched much of it. So I don't even know what's happening there.
Yeah. Check it out. It's on YouTube. So I mean, it's nice, long conversations, but it's pretty much similar to how we have these conversations here on our pod, but they are more in depth about it because also they are more clued up regarding what changes will probably happen within World Rugby, and so trying to see and feel what if they like the changes that are coming up or not, basically. So, and why. The nice thing is, like, they explain why they want to keep things as they are or want to change things in a certain way, which is nice. Griffin, parting shots, anything from your side?
No shots this week, thanks, mate.
Any releases this past week?
No, nothing new, mate.
Nothing. Jade, I don't know. You must give Steyn a call, Franz Steyn, that is, because he can't be doing all those jobs at the Cheetahs. So there must be some jobs they need to advertise there. Anyway, parting shots from your side, from Bloom.
Nothing really. I just hope if we're going to get a better try, then Etienne and I said to try over the weekend of the Chiefs versus the Crusaders. So,
jeez.
If we're going to get a better try than that, I want to see
it. Fair enough. So, guys, the referees for this next weekend for Six Nations, we've got Wales versus Ireland. That will be handled by Carl Dixon. Scotland versus France. That'll be Angus Gardner. Italy versus England. Luc Ramos from France. That'll be the guy that handles that. The following week, we've got Luke Pearce with Ireland and Scotland. That's a big one as well. Anyway, nothing much from my side, but thank you very much, gents, for joining in. And thank you to the listeners as well. We will see you guys next week, Sunday. After a big weekend of Six Nations. Big weekend. That's potentially the decider on who wins the Six Nations in 2026. Have a lovely Sunday. Have a good week ahead. See you guys next week. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Okay.